What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Knicks Recap podcast. I'm your host, Troy, and you could be anywhere in the world this afternoon, but you chose to be here with me, and I really do appreciate that. Chat gang, I see you. If you're going to pick up any of the merch, definitely do it. I know that Knicks tape hoodie right now does look pretty good. If you want to represent the Knicks tape as well, too, for the upcoming year, make sure you get your merch. Appreciate you, chat gang. Knicks Nation, I see you. We have so much Knicks content to talk about today, so many topics to cover. Obviously, we're going to be talking about a number of different trade targets that are currently connected to the Knicks because, yes, there are a lot of targets and we have to discuss each and every one of them. But don't worry, we're going to break down every single one of them. We're also going to be talking about the Westchester Knicks, specifically Chuma Okeke and TJ Warren. A lot of fans have been asking, when are the Knicks potentially going to call either one of those players up? Well, thanks to an NBA insider, we now have that information as well, too. We're also going to be talking about the giveaway because, yes, today is the day. We have two winners to announce for today's giveaway. We are giving away a hat that looks similar to this one, and we're also giving away a Knicks Mitchell & Ness Classic hardware hoodie. So hardware hoodie. So make sure you are tuning into the rest of the show. You're staying in for the rest of the show so you can make sure you can see if you are one of the chosen members for the giveaway and if you win one of those prizes. So definitely stay tuned for all of those things. But obviously, as you guys see in the thumbnail, we have to go to it. We have to talk about it. We're going to be discussing today Jericho Sims. Now, with Jericho Sims, as you guys know, he's fallen out of the rotation with Tom Thibodeau. I mean, situational is basically what you can call him at this point. Because if Josh Hart's not playing, that's really the only time he's going to see minutes. Or if somebody else is in foul trouble, like Karl-Anthony Towns or Precious Achiuwa. Apart from that, he's really not going to play any legitimate minutes. And then, recently, as we reported on this channel, reports have come out that the Knicks are being contacted by other teams about the availability, the trade availability of Jericho Sims. But we didn't know who those teams were until now. Shout out to Ian Bagley, NBA insider, because as he reported, the Houston Rockets are one of the teams interested in making a trade for Jericho Sims. We're going to break down all of these latest reports today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button now. And also have notifications turned on. So anytime we drop new content, you get notified. And now, let's get started. The Houston Rockets are interested in a Jericho Sims trade. Now, anybody being interested in Jericho Sims for me is a little bit shocking to say the least. Because even though he has played well when he was given minutes with the New York Knicks, he's also done a couple of things that have made you raise your eyebrow a little bit and really question his basketball IQ. But I guess if you're looking at the rebounds and the defense, he has looked good when he was out there for the Knicks. But also, Tom Thibodeau hasn't played him since Precious Achiuwa has come along. Because Achiuwa, let's face it, off the bench, whether he's backing up Karl-Anthony Towns or backing up OG Anunoby, he has a presence, not only offensively, but defensively. And Tom Thibodeau, time and time again, we've seen it. He goes to the double big lineup with Precious Achiuwa and Karl-Anthony Towns. And I'm not going to say anything about it, but maybe I should. If you guys don't know, for the month of December, the Knicks defense is, I believe, ranked fifth. Ranked fifth. Their defense has come a long way. A lot of that has to do with chemistry, building that chemistry, but also getting players back who are healthy. You're talking about Precious Achiuwa, and eventually you're talking about Mitchell Robinson. So will there even be a place for Jericho Sims once Robinson returns? Because even as of right now, there's not a place for him. Tom Thibodeau is implementing an 8-man rotation. With Landry Shamet, he's likely going to get significant minutes as well, too. So he's going to be your 9th man off the bench. He's going to get significant minutes. Really no time for Jericho Sims. That's why when the reports come out indicating that teams are contacting the Knicks about Jericho Sims and his trade availability, I absolutely believe it. But to hear it's the Houston Rockets, that was a little bit shocking. Let's go ahead and break down these latest reports we have from Ian Bagley regarding the Rockets and their interest in Jericho Sims. And also, what is the asking price that the Knicks are looking for in any potential Jericho Sims trade right now? Well, thanks to Ian Bagley, he clears up those reports for us as well, too. SNY reporter Ian Bagley on the Knicks trade plans for Jericho Sims as the trade deadline approaches. Regarding moving on from Jericho Sims, I think when you look at the Knicks and their trade position, overall, you got to wonder about Mitchell Robinson and his health, how he plays into it, whether they feel good about him coming back, and whether or not or so they're sure about him, and if he's going to be healthy, how long he's going to be healthy for, and how long he's going to be playing consistently. I think that might affect their plans on Jericho Sims. I do know that in the offseason, the Knicks were talking to teams about getting second-round picks in return for Sims. Obviously, nothing came to fruition in the offseason. I do know that members of the Houston Rockets are fans of Jericho Sims, so maybe that's a team to keep an eye on. But as far as a potential trade for Sims, I think you have to keep an eye on Mitchell Robinson's potential availability and his health. If they did make a move with Sims, I would assume, unless it's part of a multiplayer package type of deal, that you are only going to get draft pick compensation in return for Sims rather than a player. Now, that for me is very, very important to note. Now, I'm not saying that I was expecting to get a player and 2 first-round picks for Jericho Sims. We got to remember, he was a second-round pick in one of the year's drafts, right? I forget what year it was. I'm trying to block it out a little bit because Jericho Sims is still on the team. But either way, we got to remember, he's a second-round draft pick. And even though he's come a long way since then, and he's played pretty well, he's developed. This is the first year he's not really dealing with any injuries. So really, this is the time that you can see him shine and showcase what he can do with the Knicks. And when he's out there, I'm going to give him a little bit of credit now. Can he defend pretty well? Yes, he can. He's actually gotten better, especially with his switching. Rebounding, can definitely do that well, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So when you look at all of that and you're another team, maybe you think, okay, he's not making a lot. He's an expiring deal. So even if I don't like him for the rest of the season, I can just let him go. Or maybe if I do like him and I can quote unquote fix him, because so many teams in the league nowadays think they can find any other player in the league that's not being utilized properly, think they can take him on and they can magically get something out of him that the Knicks or another team are not going to be able to get out of him. So maybe that's the allure of Jericho Sims right now. If that's the case, I have no problem with that. But here's the issue. Second round draft pick compensation, that's what we're looking for. Now, in the offseason, maybe we're doing that so we can get more draft picks to utilize in another trade we were trying to make. And maybe nothing came up of that point in time. Right now, looking at this Knicks team, we don't need any more second round picks. Is it just me? Do we not have enough second round picks? I feel like we have a bajillion second round picks. A lot of them. Too many of them. And I understand maybe moving forward, they're going to be more valuable. Teams might want them in certain deals, certain trades, depending on where they fall and what teams we're giving those second round picks from. I can understand that. But they're not first round picks. And in any major trade the Knicks are looking to make, if you're trying to get a player back, you're likely going to have to include a pick. You're likely going to have to include Jericho Sims and a first round pick. Or if you're not going to include a first round pick, you're going to have to include Sims and a player of impact, a player that likely the Knicks are not going to want to have to give up, or a player that the Knicks may not want to have to give up or like to give up, but they might have to if they're looking to move off of Jericho Sims and get another impactful player. When you're thinking about the Houston Rockets, I mean, who do the Rockets have that the Knicks would have a chance of getting with the package of Jericho Sims and second round picks? You think anybody would give up that package for Cam Whitmore? Shout out to my guy, Jay from East New York. Anytime Knicks on the app X, he's always talking about Cam Whitmore. I hope you're watching the stream, by the way. Always talking about Cam Whitmore, so he's always been a fan of him. But I don't know if you could really get that with Jericho Sims and a couple of second-round picks because, again, you're going to have to sell Jericho Sims and whatever package you have for a player that they likely want and see as part of their future, at least at some point. And they're not dumb either. They're going to understand if they want to flip a player like him, they can probably get a better package around the league from another team. And that's the biggest issue against New York right now. Other teams going after players that they like, that they covet. It's no secret. New York doesn't have any type of trade assets, really, when it looks like it. The trade assets that the Knicks have right now can be beaten really by any other team in the league. Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, that heavily protected Washington Wizards first-round pick, and then we have our second round picks. Other than that, the Knicks don't really have anything else to really give up that they want to give up in any potential deal. It really depends on the player that's available, who they're getting back, and their impact on this team moving forward, and also for this season, because that's also important. We're getting the chemistry right. So I don't really think that right now the Knicks are going to be looking to make a move, ruin that chemistry, and have to build it all up again. We're riding a 5-game win streak right now, looking to make it 6 against Orlando. I don't know if the Knicks would really want to pull the trigger right now on a trade when we look this good. Only going to get better once we get healthier, get Mitchell Robinson back, and see what that squad looks like. We can still look at the buyout market if we want to make another move, make a smaller move. And later on in the show, we're going to talk about the Westchester Knicks and potentially making a move there. There's talent everywhere. You don't only have to make a trade to actually get a player on this team. And honestly, if the Knicks are not going to get a player of impact back, but we're going to get a couple of second-round picks, I would rather hold on to Jericho Sims and use him as insurance in case an injury happens or somebody else goes down. Because I would rather have that than a couple of second-round picks to add to all of the other second-round picks that I have. We have so many second-round picks. Do we really want to take more second-round picks on and add them to the collection? Or are we just going to hoard more second-round picks and hope that some team one day will accept all of them for, I don't know, an all-star player? Because that's not going to happen. We have to think realistic here. I can understand what the Knicks are trying to do, getting more compensation to utilize if they're going to make a trade somewhere down the line. But second-round picks are not the way to go, in my opinion, and I do not think trading with the Houston Rockets right now, especially if you're not going to get a player back, really makes much sense. But you let me know in the chat. Would you make a trade for Jericho Sims? Would you want the Knicks to trade Jericho Sims for the Houston Rockets for maybe a couple of second-round picks? Because maybe you think you just want him off the team so that way the Knicks open up more room on the roster to call up somebody from Westchester or make another signing from the buyout market. Maybe that's what you're thinking. Let me know your thoughts because, again, I'm not against any of these particular moves the Knicks would make. I'm just saying if second-round picks are what you're getting back for Sims, it really doesn't make sense for me for the Knicks to pull the trigger on that trade. And maybe that's why they haven't pulled the trigger on a trade. Maybe they were looking for it in the offseason, but there hasn't been any reports that they're currently looking for that type of compensation in order to trade Jericho Sims for the Houston Rockets or really to any team. Maybe the value has changed because of the way Jericho Sims has played as of late. We really have to wait and see what Leon Rose and his team cooks up as we move closer to the trade deadline. By the way, that is on February 6th. But very interesting to note, by the way, that the Houston Rockets, among other teams, have contacted the Knicks about Jericho Sims and his trade availability. I know the Knicks would make a move if the trade was right. But Leon Rose, why would he make a move to hurt the team? Take away insurance for this team when we already have a lot of likely what we would get back in any type of Jericho Sims move. It really doesn't make sense. And if you know anything about Leon Rose, he's not going to make a move to spite us or the Knicks. The moves he makes are going to be the moves that help this team and help this roster. But that begs the question, if the Knicks do want to make a move, if they do want to make a trade, we already dropped the video about it earlier this morning. Jericho Sims, he's one of your trade assets. Precious Achiuwa, Mitchell Robinson, those second-round picks, that heavily protected Washington Wizards first-round picks. That is all of your assets in terms of trade assets that you can go out there with and look to get back an impactful player. Mitchell Robinson and Precious Achiuwa equal to about $20 million. So definitely can fit somebody on this team, an impactful player at that as well, too, to help this roster moving forward. But the question is, who are the trade targets? What players are the Knicks likely going to go after to add to this team? Well, shout out to Ian Bagley because he also gave us and identified a couple of Knicks trade targets moving forward as we get closer to the trade deadline. And I got to tell you guys, it is a lot of players to name. Obviously, this only involves Mitchell Robinson and Precious Achiuwa likely being included in that deal. You're not going to get somebody by holding back Precious Achiuwa and only including Jericho Sims and Mitchell Robinson. Because you got to remember, where the Knicks are right now as a team, we have to match the salary of any player we bring back on this team. So if it's $14 million, it has to be $14 million straight up. It has to be matched. It cannot be where the Knicks are taking on more salary. If that happens, the trade will be vetoed. It can't work. So we have to keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and break down some of these reports here. So obviously, Ian Begley, he gave us the following information as he answered the question on his mailbag edition on his latest episode. He stated, the following question given to him or asked of him was, looking ahead here, do you believe that Money Mitch is on the Knicks after the trade deadline? And his answer to that question was, this is a major question for the Knicks as they approach the trade deadline. If I had to guess, I'd guess that Mitchell Robinson makes it all the way back in his rehab to the point where the Knicks feel confident about his ability to stay healthy. But Robinson still has several hurdles to clear before he gets to that point. If the Knicks still aren't sure about Robinson's status in mid-January, that's very specific there. His status in mid-January. Why mid-January? Because what is his return date? Late January to early February. And if they don't understand where he is in terms of his rehab at that point, I'm just saying moves could be made. February 6th is the trade deadline date. And that's the time that the Knicks might have to work with if they want to watch Mitchell Robinson once he returns and what he can do when he can do when he returns for the Knicks eventually, either at late January or early February. Maybe the Knicks are waiting for that before they make a move. But it is interesting that Ian Begley stated here that they might be waiting until mid-January to even make that move in the first place. Let's continue here. Let's continue here. He says that in mid-January, I assume they would look seriously at center help in the trade market. So that's likely when the Knicks are going to look at the trade market more seriously. And if they do, they're going to be looking at a center. Maybe a wing as well, too. They might be looking at a couple of other things. I can't tell you the exact players they might be looking at because, well, actually, I lied. I can tell you the players they're likely going to be looking at because Ian Begley gives us that information as well, too. But you got to understand, it's centers more or less more than anything else. If you're looking at them to go after a guard or another player like that, I got to tell you, maybe give you a spoiler alert here. They're not going to go after any guard unless that guard is an all-star and he comes available and his cost is low and the Knicks can afford him. Maybe we can talk about it. But as of right now, the list of potential players the Knicks are going to go after, the trade targets, nearly all of them are big men. So let's break down that list from Ian Begley as well, too, here. Shout out to Begley for giving us this information. Ian Begley provides an update on the New York Knicks trade targets if they should move on from Mitchell Robinson. The Knicks have a limited amount of trade resources, so it would be hard to swing a significant deal. They are also restricted by the second apron in trades, so they have to match salary going out with salary coming in, dollar for dollar. That makes it tricky to swing a deal. As far as potential targets go, it depends on Mitchell Robinson's health and what the Knicks read on it is. Excuse me, guys. I got to get a drink of water because my throat is killing me right now. The hypeness is just coming through the stream right now, I hope. Excuse me, but shout out to the chat. I appreciate you guys. See your comments there. Dante will return. Trust. That's from DeZenzo. Demo3000 says, Mitch is out of here. We got Nostalgia Nick saying, salute recap. Hey, I appreciate all you guys. But let's continue here. As far as potential targets go, it depends on Mitchell Robinson's health and what the Knicks read on it is. I do think that that's going to be one of the biggest factors as you head into the trade season. Do they think Mitchell Robinson can come back and contribute and play at a high level? Yes. Then I think that they just continue to wait for Mitchell Robinson to come back and be healthy. That's if they believe that Robinson can come back and contribute. If they have serious concerns about him, then I would expect them to, at the very least, look at the trade market. Then you look at the bigs that they had interest in during the summer. Names like Jonas Valanciunas, Goga out of the Orlando Magic, who we are facing tonight. We got to talk about him. Nick Richards. I would also throw in there, depending on what happens in Portland, DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams III. Just because those are guys who might be available on the trade market and just bigs who might be available. And like I said earlier, bigs with the Knicks right now, in terms of if they're going to make a trade, those are the players they're going to be targeting. If the Knicks don't feel like Mitchell Robinson can make it all the way back, those are going to be the names I would keep an eye on. That is, again, another very important topic to discuss here when we're talking about Mitchell Robinson and the potential targets that the Knicks are looking to go after. The Knicks, always and forever, seem to be linked to Jonas Valanciunas. I have mentioned Jonas since the offseason. A lot of you guys hated it. Some of you guys love those reports. Some of you guys can actually see the vision. Oh, yeah, Troy, I get it. I mean, they can match the salary. It would make sense dollar for dollar. They can give the Wizards back their pick. So that is the alluring thing there. That's what the ideal package is for likely a team for the Wizards. We're not going to get really a good package back for Jonas, especially if you're looking like teams at the Lakers or other teams like that, unless the Lakers want to give up their first-round picks. Now, I understand there are reports out there that they would be willing to give up their first-round picks, but it's for a certain player. Do I think that player is aging veteran Jonas Valanciunas? No, I don't think so. So if the Lakers are in the mix for Jonas, I still think the Knicks are the only team that can give the Wizards the best trade package given the package that we have right now. I think the Knicks are the only team that can give the Wizards the best trade package to land Jonas Valanciunas from contenders. Not all teams, not rebuilding teams, but if you are a contender, absolutely, the Knicks have the best trade package at this point in time to land Jonas, even over the Lakers, because I don't believe they would give up any first-round picks. Protected or not, they wouldn't do it. But the Knicks have no problem doing it because they know that pick won't convey. Washington, the only reason why they would want that pick back is because maybe they want to make a major trade, and having access to that pick would definitely help them out. So that's why, as you saw there from Ian Bagley's list, if the Knicks were going to make a trade, the names that come up are Jonas Valanciunas, Goga Batadze, Nick Richards, DeAndre Ayton, and Robert Williams III. And out of all of those players, Jonas Valanciunas, for me, is always going to be the most likely, only because the trade package makes the most sense. The Knicks have the exact trade package they need to trade for Jonas Valanciunas dollar for dollar if they want to. If they need to include a pick, a couple of second-round picks, they can do that too without having to blow up the team, keeping the team intact, and getting a player like Jonas with, again, availability off the bench. That's the biggest thing with Mitchell Robinson, having him come back and then having to question his availability. How long is he going to be active for before he gets injured or something happens to him or load management? That's what the Knicks are thinking about right now. That's why potentially Mitchell Robinson could be traded. But Leon Rose and this Knicks front office, they're not dumb. They see what's going on with this Knicks team. We're winning so many games right now. We are on a collision course potentially to win 10 games straight, a 10-game win streak, something that we haven't seen done in years. I want to get there. Fans want us to get there. The winning changes what the Knicks are going to do on the trade market. But if they lose some games, or there's a there's a person out there on the trade market that the Knicks would want to go after and trade for, that they covet, and their value has dropped significantly, maybe that's another reason that they would make a trade. But those are the only ways I see New York actually making a move. You don't make a move if the chemistry looks good, you're getting healthier, you're getting players back that are giving you what you need, which is more defense, and then you're winning a lot of games. You're on a win streak right now. It makes no sense to ruin what we have and make a trade unless it's so good of a deal that you can't say no to it. And it's for a player that we've always wanted. Only really, I think, 3 players on that list? Jonas is probably on that list because he's been linked to the Knicks since the offseason. Walker Kessler's on that list. And I would say Jalen Duran's on that list as well, too, out of Detroit. Maybe you want to add Isaiah Stewart, given the year he's having right now, the money he's making, and the fact that the Knicks can match it. But you can go either way with that. I like Duran, but I don't think the Knicks have enough assets to land Duran. But Isaiah Stewart, they do, especially with the center situation in Detroit right now. A lot of factors there as well, but those are some names that you have to look at. When you're talking about DeAndre Ayton, I mean, what are we talking about DeAndre Ayton for? Do we think really that the Knicks, not only, number one, would trade for Ayton, but that we could actually afford that contract with Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, DeAndre Ayton is not coming to this team. The Knicks are not going to trade for him. The Knicks would likely trade for the other guy in Portland. We're talking about Robert Williams III before they even traded for DeAndre Ayton. And Robert Williams III, when healthy, he's a force. He fits this Knicks team extremely well as well, too. We all know that. It's not a surprise. It's only when he's healthy. He has the same disease that Mitchell Robinson has, and it's called injury proneness. And the only way to fix that is no way. Keep them out for a significant period of time and hope and pray that when they come back, they don't re-injure anything. They stay healthy for a very long time and they can contribute. Maybe you watch their minutes, but again, even if you're doing that, if you're watching their minutes, then are they the same player? Are they the player that you wanted to trade for in the first place? These are some of the names that are on the list right now. Apart from them, let's take a look again. We talked about DeAndre Ayton. We talked about Robert Williams III. We talked about Jonas Valanciunas. Let's talk about Goga. You think that right now, the Orlando Magic, as injured as they are, seeing Goga rise right now, he's playing over Wendell Carter Jr. Now, he's almost always injured. I can understand that. But he's a very good player. And Goga's playing over him because he's been a better player. Imagine how Indiana feels right now. Imagine how they feel right now. I love when certain teams that are our rivals, Indiana, are hurting because of a move that they made. And a lot of teams want to point out the Knicks, our fault, players that we traded away and whatnot. Can we talk about that for a second? Can we talk about who they had, who they no longer have, and what he's doing with Orlando? The points he's putting up, the rebounds he's putting up, the blocks he's putting up, the defense that he gives that team, even with all the injuries. One of the main reasons they're so scrappy is because of that defense, and they just let him go. Obviously, the Knicks would love to get him. I'm sure many teams in the NBA would love to get him. Guess what? He's not available. He is never going to be available, and the price on him has just skyrocketed all the way up there. The Knicks have no shot. None. Zero to land that man. Not the way he's playing right now. Not the way he's increased his trade value. Talk about somebody who's given his value a boost. That's how you do it. He's had opportunity, of course, but that's how you do it. Goga, he's here, but he's here to stay for Orlando, not for any other team, in my opinion. Let's keep it going. The other player that we have there is Nick Richards. Now, Nick Richards, for me, of course, if you have the option to go after a Nick Richards, you do it if he's available at the right price point, because he gives you a lot of things that you would want. He's active on defense. He's good on offense, has a little bit of a hook shot, a little bit of a push shot, working on his jump shot, and he can grow with the team. Age timeline. I think I saw a comment in one of my videos that said, age timeline, are you kidding me? We're in a championship window. We are, but how do you think the Knicks determine who stays on the team in a championship window? Is it not age timeline? Players that can grow with the team. That's why you look at their age and if they can be with this team, grow with this team, and stay with this team. There's a lot of factors to what the Knicks are doing right now. We know how the Knicks make moves. It's always a chess move to the Knicks. It's never going to be anything easy or something that we see. But if the Knicks are going to make a move, Nick Richards is somebody I can absolutely see being in play if the Hornets want to actively tank and give him up. And it has to be at the right trade package. But he's playing well, too. So that means he's increased his trade value. That means the Knicks have to compete with the other teams that might want to trade for him. Again, that's where the Knicks find themselves. That's why Jonas makes the best sense, because the only people that the Knicks would be competing with the Jonas Valanciunas trade would be the other contenders. And out of all of them, they have the best trade package because they own Washington's pick. That's the main reason, almost the number one reason. And they can match it almost dollar for dollar. All of those reasons point why he would be the best asset if the Knicks wanted to trade for him and get him on this team. But that's only if the Knicks want to make a move, want to make a trade. They might not want to do that if they see Robinson return and he's going off. The lineup between him and Towns look phenomenal. We have to wait and see what that looks like. That's clearly what the Knicks are doing. That's clearly what they're waiting for. But we have to wait and see if there's other targets that come available. What happens if other players in New Orleans come available and their value goes down? Does that change where the Knicks are headed? Does that change the Knicks' plans? Because I think it might. And there's some other players that we haven't talked about. Really, we haven't talked about them because there are major obstacles in the Knicks even going after them. let's talk about the major obstacle in the Knicks going after a player like Herb Jones, because that's a player from New Orleans, him and Trey Murphy III, that always come up, always thrown out in trade conversation, especially to New York. And why not? Those two on this team, their size, their athleticism, what they could add, I mean, my goodness, they would destroy what we could add to this team. I'm talking about destroying the best way and destroy the opposing team, because their talents on this team under head coach Tom Thibodeau would be phenomenal. But like I said, there's obstacles to everything. Nothing is ever going to be too easy. And we see that with Herb Jones as well, too. Shout out to Ian Bagley. Where's that one? Shout out to Ian Bagley for giving us the following information here about the Knicks potentially going after Herb Jones and the obstacles that they're facing in trying to go after him via trade. According to Bagley, I don't think that the Knicks can really meet what New Orleans' asking price will be for a guy like Herb Jones. With Jones specifically, the Knicks face trade restrictions because they're in the first apron. They don't have first-round picks of value to give up right now. They have a lot of second-round picks, and I would assume that they couldn't meet the asking price that the New Orleans Pelicans would hold for a player like Jones. Now, honestly, guys, that's the reality. That is the reality of any of these good players that maybe make sense on paper, that we can run the trade machine and, yo, it makes sense. Yes, ding, 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 we can add them now. But hold on. Before we do that, we have to understand, before we add them, we have to make that team accept our trade package and hope that nobody in the NBA is paying attention when we make that trade package and it gets accepted or vetoed. Because once that happens, it opens up the floodgates of what type of trade package might be accepted of a player like Jones. And once that happens, the Knicks would never be able to beat out any of those, the Knicks would never be able to beat out any of those trade packages because they just don't have the assets to play like that anymore. We made our big deals. We made our big trades. If we're able to pull off a deal like that now, Leon Rose will deserve a statue outside of MSG because those type of moves seem impossible. If he can make them possible, that's a whole different story. The unfortunate part is if you're actually looking for a move that's more probable, you're not going to like the next name that's also linked to the Knicks right now. And that player is Bruce Brown. Shout out to Ian Bagley for giving us this information as well, too. Also, the Knicks in the past have had interest in Bruce Brown with the Toronto Raptors. He's injured right now and has an expiring contract. I would assume that the Raptors at least take calls on Bruce Brown. So maybe that's the situation to keep an eye on. Although, with Landry Shamet coming in, I don't see room for a player to come in and get a rotation spot. Unless you're sending out multiple rotation players. The Knicks, facing restrictions via trade, don't have a ton of assets. And I do think you're looking at Mitchell Robinson as one of the hurdles here with his health and his availability and what he looks like once he returns. So these are a lot of the things that the Knicks have to consider when they're going to look at players that they want to bring in and add to this team. Right now, it's not like they can add a lot of players anyways. They are facing a lot of restrictions, but I don't think Bruce Brown would ever be a player that they're looking at again at this point in time. Maybe they had interest in him a few seasons ago. I think last season specifically, they had interest in Bruce Brown. You can understand why. We could have used more scoring off the bench. He's an NBA champion. I mean, why wouldn't you have him here? But now, given where the roster is and our current needs, we don't need any more guards. We don't need them. And yeah, you can make the argument he could play small forward. I don't care. I don't think he could play for this team in terms of what we need. Because at this point, getting him on this team would cost a lot. He's making a significant amount of money. And if you're going to get him on this roster, you're going to have to match that salary and deal with Toronto and likely have to give up a lot of assets. No matter how much the Knicks need him or want him or think that they need him, they can pass on him and find other players out there that make more sense to add to this team. Even on the buyout market, not even on the trade market, even in Westchester. And we're going to break that down. Before we talk about Westchester, though, we have to go to the chat gang, talk to you guys, see what you guys have to say, because, I mean, you guys are going off right now. We have about 700 in the chat, 700 watching the stream right now. A lot of people in the chat. Shout out to all you guys. If you haven't done so already, please do me that huge favor of smashing that like button, because when you do that, for some reason, it helps this video and YouTube's algorithm get seen by a ton of people. So you really would be helping me out here. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well, too. We're trying to get to 25K, so you hitting that subscribe button really helps us in trying to achieve that goal. Like I said, guys, going back to the targets before we go to you guys in the chat, I mean, Herb Jones, I can understand the interest there, and I would want the Knicks to go after him if we could afford him. We can't, according to Ian Bagley, and that's the major obstacle there. Not having the assets is the major obstacle there. With Bruce Brown, the interest might have been there before, but it's not really there now. And even if it is, it doesn't make sense to add him to this current Knicks team. We need either a wing or a big, either a power forward or a center. If we can get a player like that, who would play significant minutes under Tom Thibodeau and have an impact, I am fully okay with the Knicks going after a player like that. But a player like Bruce Brown, no thank you. A player like DeAndre Ayton, no thank you. Even a player like Robert Williams III, unless that trade is a steal, I would stay away. He's Mitchell Robinson 2.0. Don't need another version of Mitch on this roster. I don't care how good he's looked in Portland this year. At the next corner, he could step wrong and be injured, and then we're dealing with Mitchell Robinson 2.0. There's no need to give ourselves that headache and deal with that again. That means, again, if the Knicks are going to make a deal, actually make a trade worth of impact, and add a player to this team, realistically, Jonas Valanciunas makes the most sense. There's really not another player that I heard of that Ian Bagley's mentioned, that we've mentioned recently, even with Bruce Brown and Herb Jones into the mix, that actually makes sense for the Knicks to go after, all because of price. It doesn't make sense because we would never be able to afford any of them. And every team in the NBA knows that, including Leon Rose and this front office. That's why if they make a move, that the only move I can really see them making is going after Jonas Valanciunas. But without further ado, let's go to the chat, gang, see what you guys have to say. See if you guys even agree with me. Is Jonas the most likely? Is another player more likely? Is Sims going to be traded? Do you want to trade him for picks? Should we trade him to the Houston Rockets just for picks? Let me know. Chat, gang, let's hear you guys. I want to see you guys shout it out. Yuri, one of my favorite moderators, says, gotta scroll back up. I lost off screen. Says, would love to have Dyson Daniels on this team in the future. Atlanta got one by us in a sneaky trade with New Orleans. Listen, Dyson Daniels is never, ever leaving Atlanta. Ever. Trae Young would likely leave Atlanta before Daniels leaves Atlanta. That's how much of a steal that kid is. There's no way. I love it though, Yuri. I would love it. I just don't see it happening. Let's see here. Capo says, ads going crazy. I wish I could help that, guys. I always control it, try to make it as balanced as possible, but YouTube is the one that ultimately controls that. So I apologize if you're seeing a lot of them, but thank you guys for tuning in and staying with the stream. I appreciate you. G5 says, Jonas is cost-effective and low-risk, high-reward. He is. I like the addition. The only problem is the defense isn't going to get better with him on the team. If I can retain Achua and keep Jonas, I might do that deal because I like that move a lot for New York. But if I can't do that, if I have to include Precious in that deal, I might be more hesitant to make that move unless I have no other choice. I get some insider information telling me that we're not going to likely retain Precious Achua at some point, and it makes more sense to trade him now. Apart from hearing that, I don't know if I'd make that deal or trade. Jay from East New York says, and by the way, shout out to my guy, Jay from East New York. When we're talking about Jericho Sims, potentially him going to the Houston Rockets, I gave him a shout out earlier, but I want to make sure now that he's in the chat, I give him another shout out. Cam Whitmore. My guy would love Cam Whitmore on this team. Let me know in the chat. Would you love Cam Whitmore on this team? And do you think that Leon Rose and this Knicks front office could really trick, because that's really what it's going to take, trick the Houston Rockets in order to get Cam Whitmore on this team for Jericho Sims and a couple of second-round picks? I mean, let me know in the comments. I would really love to hear your guys' opinion on that. But shout out from Jay from East New York. His original comment was, this draft is good, although I think Cam Whitmore is more NBA ready. I said it before I even read his comment. If the Knicks trade Sims for picks, I'm fine with that too. Some of these prospects can hit, and there will be some gems in the second. Now, I can't say that he's wrong, right? I mean, look at the players we're talking about now. Tyler Kolek won the G League Winter Showcase MVP. He's a second-round pick. He shouldn't have been a second-round pick, but he's a second-round pick. Ariel Hukporti, another player that we drafted in the second round. He's very good in terms of being a backup big. Another player we have to talk about. We haven't seen him, Kevin McCullough Jr., but when you do see Kevin McCullough Jr., you'll understand why the Knicks got a steal in him too. Shout out to my guy, D Black. He also informed me he might have gone to the first round if he didn't have the knee injury. Now, with the knee injury, he falls to the second round. And the Knicks were able to steal him as well, too. Again, a lot of good talent and a lot of gems you can find in the second round. But, Jay, we have so many second-round picks. How many second-round picks you want the Knicks to have? I think we have 100 of them already. You want them to have 105? I mean, I get you want more draft assets, but I'd rather have first-round picks. I don't need any second-round picks. And if I'm not going to get any type of first-round draft compensation from Jericho Sims, I'm not expecting that anyways, because I know the player that Jericho Sims is, then I'd rather get a player back. And if I can't get a player, I would keep him as insurance for any one of our bigs in case they go down with injury. And you know that's possible. It's always likely to happen with this Knicks team. We saw last season what could happen. Because of that, having insurance, never a bad thing in my opinion. That's right says the Ayton for money-making Mitch. I can see Leon swinging something like that if Precious and Rob, something like that. If Precious and Rob will, I guess. Listen, I think for me, if you're talking about the Knicks going after DeAndre Ayton, maybe you think the Knicks could pull a swing a trade like that. Maybe you think they can make a move like that. I wouldn't put it past Leon Rose if he wanted a player like Ayton. I don't think he wants a player like Ayton. We have the players that we need. If the Knicks are going to make a major splash, it's going to be for a player that can give us a really good two-way play at the 5 spot, or a 4 who can play 4 and 5 and give you that good two-way play. Because right now, Achua gives you that. We can't deny that. So if you're going to trade Achua and another player, you're going to have to get that back. If you can't get that back, you can't justify trading him. And right now, the Knicks have to make trades like that and be able to justify it. Everybody's going to call them out if they trade Achua for just another player that's very good on offense, but needs to learn the defense and ruins our chemistry. We're going to be called out. Everybody understands that. We don't want to go through another November. We realized what November looked like. Up and down, up and down, up and down. We just started being consistent. I don't know if I want to ruin that with a trade. I don't know if Leon Rose wants to ruin that either. Something very interesting to look at and note as we move closer to the trade deadline. Ruin the chemistry or keep it together. That's going to be on the list there for the Knicks and the front office to really figure out and see what they want to do. Oron says, the Knicks can trade Campaign and Sims for a great bench player. Sims doesn't have any impact now. He's saying he can actually, excuse me. I know that they can, but I mean, Campaign wouldn't make any sense at all to trade him. A lot of the reason that Landry Shaman is on this team is because of the relationship he has with Mikal Bridges. You could say the exact same thing with Campaign. And by the way, when those two are on the floor together, it's money. And I'm not trading Payne after seeing the backcourt of Deuce McBride and Campaign. Defensively, they're legit. So good defensively. But then offensively, they can give you 3-pointers, they can tack inside, and they can find other players. No. I'm not giving up Campaign. You want Campaign? You better give me a very good player back. I'm not giving up Campaign. Right now, Campaign might be showing why he might be a Knick for the future. Look at the impact he's having off the bench. You can't ignore that. It's very, very prominent. I'm going to trade Campaign when I'm good and ready. And right now, I'm not good and ready. There's nothing for it. On Dios, NYK says, hit that like and subscribe to the channel and enjoy the show. Hey, I appreciate that. I love the support. Everybody who's joined the stream, everybody watching right now who's hit that like button and subscribed. I really do appreciate it. We're coming down to almost the end of the year. And I got to say, last year, I was about 10,000 subscribers. We're almost at, we are at 22,000, looking to get to 25. The support has been overwhelming. Could not do it without you guys. A lot of the reason I'm doing the giveaways is for that reason, to give back to you guys, because I don't know how else to show my thanks without you guys really coming to these streams, supporting, sharing the content, and really always leaving comments below and telling me what you like and you don't like. That's how I understand what content to give to you. So again, thank you guys so much. A couple more comments, and then we're going to go right back into it, because the last topic we have to talk about is what the Knicks are going to do with the Westchester Knicks and how talented they are. So many things to talk about. But let's go to Michael's comment here. Michael says, we have gone over this many, many times. We can't wait and hope for Mitch to come back healthy. Precious for Nick Richards. This would give us a valuable big in the paint and some good offense as well, too. I did talk about Richards. I did mention that Richards would fit this team. Not a bad fit, but I don't know if the Hornets would give him up for a package that the Knicks could afford. That's the only thing that I'm thinking the Knicks would have an obstacle with. Similar to the Herb Jones thing. They just can't afford these players. I think if they could, I think they would be Knicks already. That's how good I think Leon Rose is as a business person to get those deals done, if we have the right assets. But very good comment. Max B says, we all want to see more of Huck Porty also. He patrols the paint on defense and is a big pick and roll lob threat on offense. Can't say I disagree with that. And I think with even with Jericho Sims playing or not playing, you're not going to see it. The thing that's going to allow you to see Huck Porty is him developing and Tom Thibodeau expanding the rotation. You got to ask yourself, is Tom Thibodeau actually going to expand the rotation, or is he going to keep it to the players that we see now? That's what I'm wondering when Mitchell Robinson comes back, because I'm thinking he expands the rotation, but some players' minutes get cut. And if you're looking at what I've been saying for the last few months, it has to be the starters, because that's how you rest them and keep them fresh. I hope that's what's going to happen, but with Tom Thibodeau, you really never know. Although, have to give him credit. Lately, the adjustments have been on point, and he has been playing the starters less minutes. Maybe because we've been blowing teams out, bad teams, whatever the case may be, but that is something to note. Let's see here. Westchester Lester says, Precious more tough, keep Richards in Charlotte. I mean, there are people who think that as well, too. The other side of that, I can understand both sides of it, because Richards is good, but he doesn't have the chemistry. Precious is good, getting better, has the chemistry, and will only get better as he continues to play. So I don't really mind wherever the Knicks go here, but if they feel like they're forced to make a move, Richards isn't the worst case scenario. Wouldn't mind him on this team. I actually like that prospect. Bowen Chen says, Rockets not trading Whitmore. I don't think that they are. I don't think that they really are going to trade. Not for Sims in a couple of seconds. I mean, any team in the league is going to beat us for that. They are going to see what we're doing here. So, I mean, yeah, I don't think it makes sense. Last comment. Lupa says, I kind of like Sims for Whitmore and 2 second-round picks. I mean, I love that. I would love to see that happen. I would love to get Clint Capella on this team for a 2-year deal at the vet minimum, because I think he fits this team very well as a shot blocker and as a backup big. But just because I want those things doesn't mean that they're going to happen. I mean, I get that we're looking at certain players and we think to ourselves that they might be available. Cam Whitmore could be available. Even if they are, the Knicks don't have the package to get a player like that. Even if they're playing significant minutes or not, it doesn't matter. It matters about what that player can fetch on the open market. And the Rockets know they can get better and do better than Jericho Sims and a few second-round picks for Whitmore. If that trade was on the table, I think it would have been done a long time ago, and Whitmore would already be a Knick. The fact that he's not likely means he's not being shopped. They like their young players at the Rockets, and right now, all they're thinking about is developing them, likely getting their trade value up, and then making a major move when they can make a major move. A major move means getting an all-star back. That's why they have so many young players. Because if you trade an all-star player from another team, what do you want back the most? Young, developing players. And that's exactly what the Rockets are full of. So just something to keep in mind there. But also, let's go to the last topic of today's show. I really want to get to it because a lot of fans have been asking about what are the Knicks going to do with a lot of the standout players in the Westchester Knicks. And really, it's 2 players specifically. It's TJ Warren and it's Chuma Okeke. And the question is, when are they going to be called up? What are the plans for Okeke and TJ Warren? Now, those plans got a little bit more complicated after the Knicks just brought back Landry Shamet. Because not only did they bring back Landry Shamet, they also made a couple of other roster moves as well, too. Shout out to James L. Edwards from The Athletic for giving us the following information here. According to him, the Knicks plan and did sign Matt Ryan to a two-way contract. They waived two-way player Bo Bowie in the process to create that spot for Ryan. The Knicks and Ryan the Knicks had Ryan on a non-guaranteed contract until they waived him earlier this week to bring back Landry Shamet. Now, is this a surprise for anybody watching the Knicks Recap channel? I don't really think so, because I think you could go back to a video I dropped, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago, where I said the likelihood of all of this is that Shamet was going to return, be signed back to this team on a standard NBA deal, and according to reports, he signed a vet minimum deal with the Knicks, a standard deal, so that's a check mark there, and we waived Matt Ryan. I said that was going to happen. That happens as well, too. Back on a two-way deal, said that was going to happen. That happens. Bo Bowie, he gets waived, but he's still at Westchester, and really, the Knicks still have all the players that they want right now on this team. But the fact that they did this move now puts them back to 14 players. And we got to remember, one of the main reasons why the Knicks have not added that 15th player, because standard NBA teams all around the league can have 15 players. The reason they haven't added anybody yet is because of cap. They simply cannot afford to add a 15th player. That's why 14 players is all they can have. And when they added Landry Shamet to this team, it took a lot of Knicks fans' hopes away from them thinking that Chuma Okeke, TJ Warren my goodness, sorry, can't really talk right now. Chuma Okeke, TJ Warren, or one of those players would be able to be called up and be added to this team. A lot of fans were hoping that was going to be the case, but it seems like the Knicks might have a plan in place. Maybe they're not calling up those players now. That's just because they can't afford them, although it is a risk, because if you wait to sign a player like TJ Warren, if you wait to sign a player like Chuma Okeke, other teams are going to see what they're doing. They're not going to ignore it. And once they see it, they're not going to be able to unsee it. And kind of like what happened to Moses Brown earlier this season, another team could come in, they could sign him from Westchester, and they could put him on their roster. And that's my biggest concern, because right now, there are reports out there. There are teams that are looking at TJ Warren and want to add him to their team. And how could you not? He is one of the best players in the G League right now. He is killing it, scoring in bunches. I mean, if the Knicks could afford him, I think he would be the 15th person on this team, because the scoring, it's too hard to ignore. But again, the Knicks are likely waiting until they have enough cap room available to make the likely offer to get one of these players on this team. Let's break down these latest reports that we have here. I think it's right there. Shout out to Ian Bagley for giving us the following information as well, too. The Knicks can add a 15th player in early March when the player's prorated salary can fit under the $189.9 million team salary threshold known as the second apron. The Knicks are capped at the second apron due to the Mikal Bridges trade. This is exactly why right now the Knicks have 14 players and are waiting to add that 15 player to the team. And the 15 player, in my opinion, will absolutely be either TJ Warren or Chuma Okeke. The only thing is, how long are they going to have to wait to add one of these players to either one of these teams here? Because you got to remember, with Chuma Okeke and TJ Warren, in this league, you get a lot of money based off your years of service in this league. So the longer you play in this league, the longer you've been active in this league, the more you're going to get paid on a veteran minimum deal. So TJ Warren, you're going to have to wait for Warren a lot longer to get under that threshold versus Chuma Okeke, who hasn't played as long, so he'd likely be available earlier. So if you're looking at who would be available the earliest, it would be Chuma. But maybe the Knicks don't care about who's going to be available earliest. Maybe it's about who would have the biggest impact if they're added to this team. And maybe for the Knicks, that player is going to be TJ Warren. Let's break down more of this information for Ian Bagley, because he did a great job of giving us more information here. Oh, hope you guys didn't see that. That was the giveaway winner. Hope you guys didn't see who won there. Excuse me, I'm taking a drink of water here. My goodness, throat is really, really dry. All right, and here we go again here. So as Ian Bagley stated here, the Westchester Knicks have a lot of talent this year. Many fans want to see some players like Chuma Okeke and TJ Warren get called up to the main roster. Ian Begley indicates that cap concerns are why they haven't been added yet. But New York may have a plan in place soon to add one of them. It's just a waiting game right now. According to Begley, Chuma Okeke and TJ Warren are playing well with the Westchester Knicks. TJ Warren in particularly putting up big numbers. When you look at this Knicks roster, their payroll, obviously, they can't go over the second apron. I believe they're currently somewhere around $500,000 below that second apron. It's tricky to add salary at the moment, but you look ahead at March 2nd. I believe that's the date when the Knicks can have some wiggle room with the salary. Then they might be able to add a player after the trade deadline in early March. You're talking about the buyout market and things of that nature. Maybe at that point, they could add a player like Warren or Okeke. But you look at these players and their years of service. The more years of service you have, the bigger your minimum salary is. That's something the Knicks would have to factor into any of these signings. So a player like Chuma Okeke has a smaller number than a player like TJ Warren when you're looking into those type of veteran minimum deals. So if the Knicks are waiting again, Chuma Okeke would be the player that they wait for and add at the earliest time. That might be in March. We'll have to do the math and see exactly how much money they lose per day and exactly when that player is going to be available for them to add. But according to Ian Begley, that would likely start the week of March 2nd. So something to take note of and something to take note of and a very important date to note down on the calendar there. March 2nd is the date or the week where the Knicks potentially can make some more moves and add another player to this team. And I hope they add a player from Westchester. Now, again, I've been saying it for too long now, and I feel like I'm a broken record. But Westchester, the talent we have over there with Moses Brown, with Chuma Okeke, with TJ Warren, they're playing so good that it's hard to ignore what they're doing. The Pacers couldn't ignore it. They signed Moses Brown. Now, I understand they released him because they're getting healthier and they're starting to win games. But honestly, they probably should have kept him because he's great insurance for their backup bigs in case they get injured again. So they should have kept him, but they didn't. But whatever they let go of, it's another person, or in this case, another team's treasure. The Knicks always found value in Moses Brown because when he was with Westchester, he was playing well. He continues to play well, so I'm happy he's part of the Westchester Knicks still. That's a player the Knicks can call up. Chuma Okeke, almost a near triple-double each and every night. I have no problem with the Knicks calling him up. And with TJ Warren, he is a little bit older, but in terms of a bucket, if you ever need scoring, he would give you scoring. He also is pretty good on defense as well, too, and him being a veteran, it's likely that Tom Thibodeau would prefer him over some younger players in the league because he does love his vets. So I don't know what player the Knicks would likely add in this scenario because right now, even though TJ Warren could give you shooting and scoring, do we really need scoring? Because right now, we're one of the best offensive teams in the league. We can get buckets from everybody, from Karl Anthony Towns, from Jalen Brunson, from Mikal Bridges, from OG Anunoby, from Josh Hart. They're all a threat to score. If we add another scorer, is he going to be able to get up the same amount of shots as he got up in Westchester? I don't think so. The reason he's scoring so much is because he's able to control the ball and put up a lot of shots. If he's not going to be able to get the same amount of time or get the same amount of shots, he might not be that same scoring threat. And the Knicks are going to have to think about that. That's why a player like Okeke makes a lot more sense in my opinion. Because if you go after Okeke, even if his offense doesn't translate, his defense will. He's great on defense. He can steal the ball. He can definitely get you rebounds as well, too. He's tall. He's athletic. He's a wing. You can't have enough of those type of players. And he fits the age timeline as well. I would love a player like Chuma Okeke as part of this team. I think he can help the defense as well. Plays great under Tom Thibodeau, in my opinion. And he's 3-and-D. He could give you some three-point shooting as well. It's not like he's a zero on offense. He can give you really an all-around, very good, well-rounded play. Tom Thibodeau would respect that and respect his game. Out of all of the players in Westchester right now, I think Okeke, even more than Moses Brown. And it kind of hurts me to say that, because you know how I feel about Moses Brown. But I think Chuma Okeke, out of all the players in Westchester, probably fits the Knicks better than anyone else right now. The level of defense, the scoring that he could give you, how NBA ready he is. He already played in the NBA with your Orlando Magic, and he's only gotten better, especially defensively, since he's gone down to the G League. You have to reward good play and good talent. I know what TJ Warren is doing. I understand not signing him might be something that we look back on and say, yeah, we regret doing that. I would rather have that regret than regret letting go of a young wing who has so many years left in his career and can still grow in this league. Chuma Okeke can give you that. I hope the Knicks are that, I hope that the Knicks are looking to add Chuma Okeke to this team in March, at either March 2nd or during the month of March, whatever the case may be. If they need more talent and they can afford him, they don't want to make a trade. They didn't make a trade. They don't want to look at the buyout market because no players that they really want are there. Then really, if they can afford it, convert Chuma Okeke, have him as the 15th player on this team. And if you even give him 5 to 7 minutes on that floor, at any point in time, the defense will look better and he'll make your team better. That's the impact that he has. He's a team first kind of guy. This whole entire roster is made out of Knicks first players, teams that think about the team first versus their individual stats. That's how we're so good on offense. And Chuma Okeke, he's that type of player. He would never care if he scored 5 points or 15 points, as long as he's able to play and have an impact. Having an impact, regardless if it's on offense or on defense or both. He just wants to play. He wants to be out there and he wants to contribute. When you have a player like that who's hungry for the game and wants to contribute to that level and buys in like that, those are the type of guys you need on this team. And if you don't have to trade anything to get them, you don't have to give up even one asset to get them, and you can make your team better in the process, why not do it? Why not go after a player like him? He, in my opinion, is one of the best players to add to this team. I hope the Knicks realize that. And come March 2nd, I'm hoping for them to make that adjustment, make that signing, and get another player of impact on this team. And Okeke, for me, checks all the boxes. But what about you guys? Let me know. Do you think he checks all the boxes? Is TJ Warren better for you? Maybe it's Moses Brown. Maybe it's Jacob Toppin getting more minutes and really more deserved minutes given the way he's been playing this year at Westchester. Maybe it's another player I'm not even thinking about. Maybe it's one of our rookies that should get more time on this team. Let me know in the comments whether you're watching this live and whether you're watching this live right now and you're in the comments, you're in the live chat, leave that comment below. If you're watching the playback, let me know there as well too. Do you think that the Knicks should add Chuma Okeke or another player to this team? How should they improve this roster? Because in my opinion, adding a young wing for nothing without having to make any type of trades and deals is the best way to utilize this team and utilize this roster and make better moves moving forward. That way you keep yourself competitive without having to sacrifice the limited of assets you have on the trade market now, because you never know who's going to be available the next offseason. And you want to still have things you can work with. And if the Knicks trade them, they're not going to have that available. You have to be smart right now. And if anything else, Leon Rose, he is very shrewd, very clever, and very smart when it comes to deals. He only makes deals that make the Knicks better. If that's not existing right now, he's not going to make a move. He's going to do what everybody hated him doing during the first few years of his tenure, but really love him doing now. Wait, be patient, and look for an opportunity to come up, to pop up that he loves, and then make a move on that. But apart from that, he's going to continue doing what he's always been doing. A lot of people hated it, myself included, but I've come to love and enjoy it now, especially given the roster we have. You can't argue that this man in Leon Rose, the executive of the year, in my opinion, for this year, given all the moves that he's made and all the moves that he will make, how can you not just believe in his greatness, the moves he's going to make, and what he's done for this team? I trust in Leon Rose, and I know whatever he does moving forward for us, it's the right move. We're a championship contender right now because of Leon. If we win a championship moving forward, or anything else happens to our team that makes us better, I'm always going to give a large portion of that credit to our president and Leon Rose. And I think a lot of you guys would agree as well, too. Leon has been cooking, and he continues to cook as we get closer to the trade deadline. And the way he's cooking is by blowing smoke in a lot of these other situations, a lot of these other conversations, but never revealing what his actual move is going to be. And you're not going to know, I'm not going to know until he wants us to. And once that happens, I'll probably be making another video going live again and being as shocked as you are by the move he's made, because that's what happens each and every time. But without further ado, guys, because really that ends today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed all of the updates, all of the reports, and everything that we gave you. It was a lot of content, a lot of things that we had to discuss, had to go over, because we couldn't do it in a couple of these videos that we normally do. So when that happens, I have to do a live. I have to get you the information. So I hope you loved it. I hope it was something that you found worthwhile. And definitely, as we move into the new year, I'm going to start doing it more frequently and more often like I was before. Like you guys know, with the holidays, it makes it tough to get anything done consistently because you're running around trying to get gifts, finding family, going to the airport to pick up family, seeing family. You can't do these things in front of family because they won't feed you. You'll be in the corner, at least with my family anyways. So a lot of things going on there. But thank you guys for tuning in. It really meant a lot for each and every one of you being part of this stream, being part of this live chat, and always tuning in either to the videos, to the clips, to the live show, the content, whatever it is. You guys give me support, and I really do appreciate that. But before we go, I always go to the live chat, and I always break down a couple of other things we do before we go to the live chat. And one of those things is the giveaway. Now, accidentally, during the show, if you guys caught it and paused it, I perhaps accidentally let it slip who the giveaway winners were. Now, I did it really quick like that before anybody could even really see it. So maybe you didn't see it, but thankfully I can announce them now. We have 2 giveaway winners to announce for this month's giveaway. We're doing 2 of them because last month we were not able to do any of them. So that's why this month we're doing 2 of them, and I can't wait to announce them. Again, if you want to be part of giveaways, the only thing you have to do is after you subscribe, you'll see the join button there. You hit the join button and you become a member. And once you're a member, that's it. You choose a tier, you donate to the show in the process, and then you're signed up for giveaways each and every month. Now, normally we give away different type of products, either some of my merch or some of the Fanatics merch that you see here, hats like this exact hat. I have another hat like this. We're going to be giving away this hat, so we'll show you the winner of that in a second. But it's always prizes like that. But in January is really the month you're going to want to be a member, because during that month, we will be choosing members to win Knicks tickets at the Garden. So if you want to be included in that, make sure you're a member. But again, without further ado, let's go and shout out the winners of this month's giveaways. Oh, that's the wrong one. And here we go. December 27th, giveaway winners. We have member Keith P, who joined 3 months ago. Everybody's chosen at random, by the way. Shout out to him. He won the Nick Fitted that I am wearing right now. So as you can see, his very own. I'm not going to give him this one, obviously. I have my own, and I bought 2 of them because I loved it. So I had to get my own. But either way, I have my own, but I'll be giving one to you guys as well, too. So shout out to Keith P, member for 3 months. Again, everybody chosen at random, and he wins the Nick Fitted. Congratulations, my guy. So happy for you. Leave a comment below or direct message me on Instagram or on Twitter and give me your information, or leave a comment below in the video, and I'll make sure I get your information and get with you. And our next giveaway winner, who won this great Mitchell and Ness hoodie, which is orange, blue, and white with the old school Knickerbocker patch on it. One of my favorite hoodies as well, too, that we're giving away. Corey Lee, who just joined as a member 13 days ago. That is amazing. Cannot believe that happened. Again, everything happens at random. You never know. So again, you could join yesterday. You could join a couple of months ago. It doesn't matter. When I choose in the morning time, when I actually do choose, it's all the members of that time, and it's at random. So shout out to Corey Lee winning this great hoodie. I love the way it looks. Unfortunately, I have not bought it yet because once I have prizes like this, when it comes to hoodies and not snapback fitteds like this that you don't really need a size for, I have to get your size and understand what I need to order for you. So this one's going to take a little bit longer to get to you, but you still won. Congratulations. Same thing for Keith as for you. Leave a comment below or get in touch with me via social media, and I'll make sure you get your gift as well too. Make sure you get it directly sent to your home, and I'll get it your size as well. I haven't ordered it yet. It's still on Fanatics, but once I know your size, we'll order it directly. I'll try to get it as fast as possible, and I'll try to make sure it gets to you as soon as I possibly can, interacting and exchanging communication with you as I go through this process. But shout out to the great giveaway winners. Again, it's just my way of saying thank you to all the members and for everybody supporting the channel each and every day. If you want to join these great giveaways that we do each and every month, especially next month when we're doing the giveaway for Knicks tickets, you got to join as a member. If you're already subscribers, you're halfway there. The next part is joining as a member, selecting the tier, and then once you do that, you are a member of this channel. You donate to the show, and then you're eligible for the giveaways each and every month. And the larger that pool of members grow, the larger of the prizes I can give you. So if that members pool jumps to maybe 200 or 500 members, maybe the gifts turn into consistent tickets or consistent other bigger prizes or even better merch. So these are things you have to consider when members are being involved. But without further ado, I'm going to go right to the chat, gang, see what you guys have to say about today's stream, any topics that I covered, or anything else you guys have to talk about. As you guys know, with the end of these streams, I really don't care regarding the topic we talk about, as long as it's topics that you have interest in and you want my opinion on. Let's go to the chat, gang, see what you guys have to say. Westchester Lester said, "It's rigged." It's not. I promise you, it's not rigged. It really isn't. If it was rigged, I promise you, I would probably choose all the members that have been here for months. For D-Block has been a member of this channel for so long. If I really wanted to choose somebody to win, I would choose D-Block, or I would choose another person who's been a member of this channel for a while, because I would respect their loyalty for staying a member for so long. So honestly, that's how I would do it. But when it comes to, you know, these type of giveaways, I feel like it's only fair to do it fresh thing in the morning with all the people that I have, and it's at random. That way I'm not playing favorites and I'm not choosing anybody. So just wanted to say that. And I do appreciate everybody who loves the giveaways and also wants to be part of them moving forward. Again, it's very simple and very easy, and I do appreciate you guys. John says, "I did not hear you mention, maybe you did, Jericho Sims is a free agent at the end of the season. The Knicks are not going to re-sign him. Teams know this, so you have to get something for him or he's gone." JM says, "John, that's what I was saying in the chat. We might as well get them second-round picks for him. He's gone anyways." Well, listen, I think that there's other ways you can flip Jericho Sims. I understand getting something for him versus nothing is better. If they're at that standpoint and that's where they are, fine. I can understand making that move. But if they're not there yet, then why even make the move in the first place? Why risk it? Why get rid of your insurance? You might as well wait and see what's out there, what makes sense. And honestly, second-round picks, we don't need any more second-round picks, and we don't know what the Knicks are going to do with Jericho Sims. They could sign and trade him. They could re-sign him and use him as trade bait again. There's so many things that the Knicks can do with Jericho Sims because of the fact he's likely not going to have a high value. It's really going to be up to Jericho Sims if he wants to leave, if he wants to stay. Where are we going to put him in? If we're going to give him more money? There's so many factors to that. But honestly, if the Knicks are going to move on from Sims, they need to get insurance back. And there are other teams they can trade with that are not the Houston Rockets. What about the Trailblazers? They might take Sims and those second-round picks for a young player that they have just because he's an expiring. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then they can let him go at the end of the year and they still get back draft compensation. It's essentially what you're saying the Knicks to do, but I'm saying let Portland do that and we get a player of impact back. So things to think about there. Let's see here. Do a free membership next time, says Ty Clemens. Listen, man, if I could control the membership's value in terms of making them free per each year or giving out free memberships, I might want to look into that. I don't see any version of that available, but maybe if that's available, I might consider giving away some free memberships to some winners or some subscribers each and every month. It is a good thing to think about. I might think about doing that. But as of right now, nothing like that as of yet. Maybe when we reach a membership mark, like when we reach, I don't know, 5,000 members, maybe we can talk about that. But we're far away. We're still growing as a channel and still growing as a membership community. So we'll get there, though. Richard West says, yes, good. Trade Sims to Houston. I mean, listen, I don't mind the trade to Houston. I really don't. But you're not going to get any assets. Second round picks are not really assets you can go out there and trade with right now. We have so many assets already in terms of second round picks. I don't know, man. I'd rather them trade with the Trailblazers. Maybe get Tumani Kamara on this team. Gotta remember that's his name. Tumani Kamara. If they can have enough, which I do think they have enough, to go to the Trailblazers and get him on this team, I would rather them do that. Why not? Why not go after a player like that? He fits this team. He's young. He's athletic. It doesn't break the bank. And it makes sense for Portland and why they would make the move. If you go after a player like Whitmore, I don't think we have enough assets to make that move. I don't think we do. Even if he's not getting a lot of playing time right now, they still understand his value and what he could likely fetch on the open market. I don't see it happening. Jay from East New York says, I put up a poll on X. Guys, would you rather a scorer or a triple-double threat? Interesting. I want to know what that poll looks like, Jay. Let me know. Monkey Wrench Built says, what's Ayton's contract? If I'm not mistaken, it's very, very bad. I don't want to misquote myself. Let me Google it real quick. DeAndre. It's crazy though. It really is crazy. All right, so he signed a 4-year, $132.929 million contract with the Phoenix Suns. Average annual salary this year of $34 million. $34 million. Please don't trade for Ayton. Please don't trade for him. I would rather Robert Williams, and you guys know how I feel about Robert Williams. I would rather go after him than go after Ayton. I'd rather go after Jonas Valanciunas than go after Ayton. It is all about the value. It's all about the trade value. You can't afford this, man. It's impossible. It's impossible. You have to gut the team. DeAndre Ayton is not realistic. Robert Williams, realistic, but we don't need him. Goga, realistic, but we can't get him. Having a breakout year for Orlando. Herb Jones, great. We can't afford him. Bruce Brown, maybe we were interested before, but we don't want him. Every player, there's always something with them. That's where we are right now. Can't get the player that we want, and the player that we want is out of reach. What do we do? Oh, my goodness, man. No, I didn't take a shot. I mean, if I did take a shot, I'm not going to say I took a shot. I didn't take a shot. Monkey Wrench. Either we trade for a big that's impactful now, or we just wait for Mitch. I think they're just going to wait for Mitch at this point because, again, the team is on a 5-game win streak. We might beat the Magic tonight. It's a good chance that we do. Magic are scrappy, but I think we have enough talent to do that. We beat the Magic. We're on 6 games. I mean, the Wizards, back-to-back, we're going to destroy the Wizards. That makes it 8 games. We're getting closer to 10 games. We get to 10 games. I mean, who are we trading for right now? Who are we trading for? It's really about winning. You win more games, you're not going to want to trade. So the Knicks continue to win. We're not going to talk about trades. We're going to talk about Westchester. We're going to talk about the buyout market. That's it, though. Shout out to UJM. Peng says, the Westchester Knicks got every player that we need. He's not wrong. He's really not wrong. TJ Warren, you need scoring. Chumo Kiki, you need a defensive wing. Moses Brown, you need a defensive backup center. I mean, they have everybody. All you got to do is go and sign some of those players. You got to wait, though, because the cap hit and things like that. So we are waiting, obviously, and when we can afford them. But as much as we wait, other teams are learning that we're waiting. They're going to make moves as well, too. So, I mean, everybody knows what we're going to do at this point. It's not a secret anymore. Everybody knows that the Knicks are likely going to wait for Mitchell Robinson. But if they're forced to, they're going to make a move. But everybody understands who we have access to and who we want to trade. So with those things in mind, New York standing pat makes a lot more sense because we don't have to be taken advantage of in any deal we might make. So something to think about there. I think we're going to go, we went an hour and 20 minutes now. I think we're going to go about 10 more minutes, I'd say. Ty says, Troy, can you put the membership link in the chat? I want to see what the annual subscription is. If one of my moderators can do it, for some reason, if I quote it in the chat right now, something's going to go crazy with my... But you know what? Maybe I can just do it on the stream, right? I'm just going to do it on my stream. I can do it. Hold on. Let me do it now. Does anybody just said it? But you can keep leaving comments. I'll read them as I go through here. Let's see. Dwayne says, we can't survive with a 7 or 8 man rotation. I mean, I got to agree with that. 7 or 8 man rotation is it's rather ridiculous, isn't it? But I think when Mitchell Robinson comes back, you're not going to get a 7 man. You're probably going to get a 9 man rotation. The only thing is, what are the minutes going to look like? You know, I don't know what the minutes are likely going to look like under Tom Thibodeau when we get there. You know what I'm saying? I think that the Knicks likely. I'm posting the link right now, by the way, guys, in the chat. This is for this is to join member. Okay. Sorry, guys. I have to do that real quick. Apologies. I have to jump into the chat. But going back to you guys, like I said before, if you want to join as a member, you got the link over there. I also think as well, too, you can't survive with a 7 or 8 man rotation. It is pretty impossible, especially when you're talking about going into the playoffs. I do think that the Knicks will expand the rotation when Mitchell Robinson returns. Minutes will be taken out for the starters, I believe. He's already started reducing the minutes of the starters. The bench has already started playing more minutes. So I think that trend's going to continue as we get healthier. The 9th player is likely going to be Mitchell Robinson. Maybe for now, it'll be Landry Shamet and then Mitchell Robinson. I don't know if Tom Thibodeau expands to a 10-man rotation. That would be kind of crazy. My guy, Ty, I appreciate you. As soon as I posted the link in there, you joined as a member. I got to say, that's talk about standing on business. That's standing on business. Salute to my guy, Ty. Appreciate you. Welcome to the club and welcome to being a member. Now, for next month, when we do the giveaway for the tickets, you are going to be eligible for that. So shout out to you for being eligible for that as well. Really appreciate that. Stanley, he says Dadier and Toppin are better options over Warren and Okeke, but Thibs prefers to play veterans. He does, and that's why Okeke makes a little bit more sense. He has more years played. Same thing with TJ Warren, although other teams want TJ. In fact, I would think if I'm done with this stream and TJ Warren is still a Knick, that would be surprising to me because I thought he would be signed already. He looks like he could be signed automatically. So TJ, for me, he's going to be signed. If not now, not today, very, very soon. I can see TJ being signed by every team in the league. Who doesn't want a player that can score like that off the bench, instant buckets, and he can play defense, and he looks healthy right now, and he's playing significant minutes in the G League. If he's doing all that, and health was the only concern last time, and now it's not a concern, he looks like he's prime TJ Warren bubble again. He's back in the bubble, at least according to his play. He looks like that. I think a lot of teams would love to have him. So I don't think TJ is going to be an option soon. I think Chuma Okeke might be, and I think they might add him come March 2nd, come that week, if they're able to afford him. Having 15 players on the roster was probably always the goal, but they had to wait to make that goal happen. And if you know how Capologist works, you know how Brock Aller is, he's going to make sure the Knicks are competitive, which we are with 14 players. We have been, while making sure we're waiting to add that next player. And that's exactly what the Knicks are looking like they're going to do. No problem at all, Ty. Thank you so much for being a member as well, too. I really appreciate that. Eddie says they better get Kiki now. I mean, they better make a move. They better make a move and add to this team, but it looks like they're waiting to make that move come March 2nd. So I wouldn't count on it happening right away. Dovid says, do you see Landry Shamet getting minutes tonight? I do. I absolutely do. Yeah, he played a minute against the Raptors, right? Didn't play against the Spurs. I do think that he gets some minutes. I think he's still recovering, still trying to get NBA ready. He was G League ready, but not NBA ready. I think he becomes NBA ready tonight against the Magic. I also think that the Knicks are going to give him a reason to play. I have a feeling that the Knicks are going to blow out the Magic tonight, given the way we're clicking on defense and on offense. And then because we're blowing them out, he's going to be able to play garbage time, and we'll see what he can do. That's my theory for tonight and what we're going to do against the Magic. And then we got to remember, we're not done yet. Tonight is the first game of our back-to-back. Tomorrow, we are facing the Washington Wizards. That's another game we got to get ready for. Although the Orlando game is likely going to be the most difficult game, while the Washington game is the trap game. Because Washington has nobody. They look like they're actively trying to tank. They don't look like they're trying to win games, but they have been more competitive as of late. So we have to think about that. Jordan Poole, I think, hit a really big shot the other night. We have to think about that. But we also know with the Knicks in our wings, we have the opportunity to shut down any player that has a good night and make them have a bad night very quickly. And OG Anunoby is the biggest reason for that. Couple of more comments, and then we're going to be done with the show for today. I appreciate everybody sticking with the stream. Everybody joining us, whether you're watching the playback, whether you're live, whatever the case may be. The show can never happen without your support. So again, from the bottom of my heart, really, thank you guys so much for everything that you do for this channel. Let's see. Eddie says, you are very right with that, what you said with Kiki. Now, do I have to give up a lot? Can you get offense? He's young. He's smart. You should be the Knicks GM. Now, Eddie, I appreciate you. I know they have the GM spot open. I don't think I'll be able to get the GM seat, even though I like the moves and I have some opinions on some of the moves that they should make. But I do think that Okiki is only a matter of time. Once the Knicks can afford him, he'll be on this team. Knicks 100 says, Pac-Man is the total package. He's going to be a problem. He is going to be a problem. I don't think he gets significant time this year. He plays a lot of time with the G League, though. I do believe that. Next year, he's going to be competing for time off the bench, and I think he has a prominent role off the bench for New York. He'll be playing a lot of minutes off the bench for New York next season if they continue on this trajectory that I'm looking at them being on with giving the rookies more time. They did it this year, and I have a feeling they're going to increase their workload next year, especially if they're better defensively. But very good comment. D-Block, who's been a member for a very long time, is stating here, I definitely don't think that the defense is clicking still. It needs work. The Spurs wings were in their bag, giving us the business. I think it got better over the course of the game. Their perimeter defense is getting better, but it could still get better. It's gotten so good that even though it's bad now, it's not as bad. That's why I'm complimenting it a little bit more. Before, it was wide open shots forever. It's not as many wide open shots now. We're cutting that off. That's why I'm saying their three-point defense has gotten better. It definitely needs to continue to get better. I'll give you that. Their interior defense is better. It's getting better, and it's going to continue to get better. That's why I'm saying in the month of December, if you look at their defense, the numbers will show you. And if you have the eye test as well, too, that shows you as well. Their defense has looked better, and I think they have a defensive rating of being 5th in the NBA. So their defense has looked pretty good. Now, is it also because some teams just aren't very good teams that we've been playing? Yes. Did they miss a lot of open shots? Yes. So I'll give you that. And I will definitely agree that the defense right now, even though it's okay and it's gotten better, it could get so much better. And I think with Mitchell Robinson and him coming back, we are going to look even better on defense and be able to talk about that at that point in time. We also have another member in the house. Shout out to Webb. He's another member of the channel, and he joined the All-Star membership. You know what that means? When you join All-Star, that means you get access to even more exclusive content, and your name gets thrown into the hat for giveaways twice. Unbelievable. Shout out to you. I really appreciate you and all the support you're giving to this channel. Thank you again, and welcome aboard to every single member that we have as part of this channel. I love the membership community that we're continuing to build. Thank you so much for joining. Brown says, Troy, good work. Tell Leon to go get Herb Jones. You know, I don't know if you saw it. I already mentioned early on in the show that we likely can't get Herb Jones. The major obstacle stopping the Knicks from doing that is really the Knicks themselves. It's our trade package. We don't have enough to get him. That's really it. He's available. I think New Orleans would give him to New York, but we can't afford him. That's the only thing. If we tried to give any trade package out there, they would just shoot it down because they're likely getting way better offers for him right now from other teams. And those teams are way better with the asset they can give than what the Knicks can offer right now. It's just something to think about. But I appreciate you, and I also appreciate your comment. Let's see here. What else do we have here? Boy, how do you get the All-Star? I need to look into that, Troy. Hey, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. If you look at it, when you have your membership, I think you can go back into your membership once you get it. You can choose the tier. There is Rising Star, All-Star, and I think Hall of Famer. And that's the biggest tier. But those are the tiers you get to choose from. Again, every single dollar donates to the show. It grows the membership pool. And as that value grows, the membership gifts, they get better. They continue to get better. So right now it's a couple of fitteds and it's a sweater. Soon it might be Knick tickets even more often. It could be even bigger and better prizes. So a lot of things to consider as you join for memberships and you look at what to consider moving forward in terms of content, in terms of exclusive interviews, in terms of exclusive content, exclusive interviews, exclusive other things that you get access to as well too, but also the giveaways that you get access to each and every month. Those are other things you have to consider when you're joining to be a member. All of those things get unlocked, but each and every tier, it gets better as you choose the membership tier that you're looking to go to, whether it's All-Star, Rising Star, whatever the case may be. But just so you know, whatever tier you're on, All-Star, Hall of Fame, Rising Star, the fact that you're a member and you're going the extra mile, that means the most to me. Doing the extra after that, that just goes to show how much you want to support the show and the level of support you want to give us. And I absolutely appreciate that as well too. So thank you guys again. Always a pleasure talking to you guys. Let's go to one more comment. And I think after that, we're just going to end the show there and get you guys going here. But you guys have been so amazing, so great all live stream long. Could not do it with a better, could not have done it without a better live stream audience than you guys here today, especially everybody in the chat gang. You guys have been going off. Eddie says, I love your show. I don't go to no other New York Knicks channel, and I'm a diehard Knicks fan for 25 years. I love to hear you talk. You're very smart and you're very intelligent. God bless you, buddy. Eddie, my guy, man, thank you so much. I am touched, man. I am really touched. The fact that you would say all those great things about me and the fact that you make this your home for Knicks content, I really am humbled. I don't know what else to say besides thank you. Happy New Year to you, your family. I hope you had a happy holiday. And again, thank you so much for all those great comments. Carl says we should trade Sims for Jay Huff from the Grizzlies. Knicks 100 GM says, why would the Grizzlies do that? And Ty Clemens says, love you, Troy. Real Knicks fan. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. All of those great comments. I kind of did a little bit of a rapid fire there, but I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for joining the show. It's always a pleasure rapping with you guys, engaging with you guys, and talking with you guys. One note before I close the show. I saw your comment, Carl. Jay Huff. I saw Jay Huff for a while. Watched him in preseason. Been talking about him for a couple of months. He's going off. Looks great. If Leon Rose is able to pull that off, I'm getting the... What metal do they use? Is it bronze? Because I think we have to use gold or whatever metal that doesn't erode that looks like gold. We're going to have to do that and make sure we get him that type of trophy built out of MSG. Because if they can fleece the Grizzlies for him, I would absolutely love it, sign up for it, and back it all the way. Jay Huff is real, and he would be a problem on New York. But it's really pipe dreams. It's never going to happen. Not only because the Knicks don't have enough to get him, but also the Grizzlies are not going to give him up. They're not going to just want to put him out there and showcase what he can do and showcase that he's available just for anything. They're not going to want to give him up for any type of trade package. If they trade him, it's going to be for something so big, so significant, that other teams are likely going to be able to beat the Knicks in their trade packages for him. And that's, again, the major obstacle for the Knicks in any one of these moves. Regardless if the player wants to come to New York, regardless if the Knicks really covet that player and want him on this team, if they can't afford that player with the trade assets they have at this point, with the cap room they have at this point, then it's not even then it's not even worth it to talk about any of these players because they're never going to be part of this Knicks team, no matter what you want to say. Something to keep in mind there as we move closer to the trade deadline and start to identify more trade targets for the Knicks to go after. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And if you guys did, please go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love. And if I don't see you guys again, well, you know what? I'm saying that. And as I realize that, I know that I'm going to see you guys again for the next live stream that we do tonight with the Knicks taking on Orlando for the post-game and the other post-game shows as well, too. So you know what? Instead of saying it for the final time, let me just say it another time. Everybody watching right now, I hope you had a very happy holiday with your friends, your family, whoever you spent it with. And of course, I hope you have a very happy new year. Until next time, guys, peace and love, and I'll catch you guys on the other side.